Hey everyone, Elise here from TGG Gaming, and I am with who?
Joshua Davis.
And what deck do you want to show off to us today?
I'm showing off Infernoble Knight. On the channel you called it Warriors, but it's mishmash of Warriors, so it works.
Alright. Anything else you want to say before you get into the deck list? Or?
It's a very strong deck, a lot of power going first. You have the ability to play through hand traps, and people really don't know how to hand trap it well, so it can lead to some good victories. Second, you really want to see a lot of engine cards, but it can break boards if you sequence really carefully.
Yeah. Alright, I guess we can just get straight into it.
Alright, so we'll start with 3 Neospace connectors, and our engine requirement with him of Aqua Dolphin. He's your best normal summon. You summon him out. If you have an Ash and Effect Veiler, they suddenly have to use it here or they know they're going to lose it. He's a 1-card starter for the deck, and Hand Knowledge is king with this deck.
True.
Our next 1-ish card starter is 3 copies of the Phantom Knight of Torn Scales. He's 1.5 cards really, but as long as you're not pitching an engine piece that you need, it doesn't matter what card you're pitching. He also works with Appaloosa to get us, with Isolde to get us to Appaloosa before we commit to Halka-Fibrax, which of course forces the nib to stop us earlier, and then you just put out Halka anyways and play normally. With the engine pieces of Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, Ancient Cloak, and Shade Brigading. Then moving on to our other normal summons, we have 1 Ogier, just because her protection effect on Charles is too good to pass up. It's also still gives us an option to go Gearfried, and Gearfried is amazing at breaking boards, so dumping him puts a little pressure on your opponent just with 1 Foolish. And 1 Gemba. He's a special out for Isolde. He's also a Fire Warrior, so he's a warrior tuner that you don't hate to see in your hand because you can still use Renaud with him. And then moving on to our hard bricks, we have a Despot and a Coltwing. We're playing a Rorodon combo. It's seeing in a lot of decks now. You should know it by now. Despot is fine to see in the hand. Coltwing's rough to see in the hand, but as long as you can get into the grave with Unicorn, with Torn Scales, with Aqua Dolphin, you can play mostly normally. You can still build a board. Moving on to our extenders. We play triple Red Layer. He's amazing. You see him with Neospace Connector, you're probably winning that match because your opponent's forced to use any hand traps short of Nib immediately, including Lancia or Skull Servant, because they're now within rip range of Aqua Dolphin. And if they Ash him, you already know that you're playing it on. Or sorry, if they Ash Neospace when you have him, you're already playing on. We play triple Oliver. He's our tuner extender. Pitch any equip spell, pitch another Fire Warrior. You started with Ogier, equip Ogier to something, and you can special him by sending Ogier from field. So, yeah. 2 Firefront Ladies. I like them at 2 because 3 is a little too common, but any warrior, you can special it out. Something else that doesn't come up as often, but if you have a tuner in hand and you only want to spend a certain number of equip spells, you can actually special out Firefront Lady and use her second effect to tribute her to special summon the warrior from hand. And then we have 2 Renaud. He's part of the engine, but he's also an extender. He's just the most restrictive one. He has to be a Fire Warrior. Remember that you don't have to use his second effect to add back, and it's because that's only once per turn. If you have a way to put out the second one, you can still combo if you have to use him to start. And then moving on to semi-extenders, but also your boss monster, you have 2 Gearfried. I don't want to gel out for a second collector's rare yet, but he's amazing. He breaks boards really well. He outs your opponent's toughest monsters because he just equips instead of targeting or destroying or banishing. Yeah, He can be used in extender because he just specials himself out by sending or banishing an equip spell from field or grave. So in tough situations, you can put him out. Moving on to our spells and traps, as well as our consistency. We'll start with one Rhoda. We're a warrior deck. You have to play it. We play then 3 Heritage of the Chalice. It can fetch your Oliver, it can fetch your Renaud. If you want to see, if you wanted a Durandal, you can grab your Durandal with it instead and then still use Durandal to search Red Layer. So it accesses most Fire Warriors of the deck by proxy of Durandal. Next we play 3 copies of Durandal. It's our favorite equip spell. It searches Renaud in combo, and it has a second effect that doesn't come up often, but you can use it to get a Renaud back during your opponent's turn if they out Charles, and then Renaud gets you back your DDR. We then have 3 DDR. Bread and butter of the deck, you get to Omega loop multiple times with it. Yeah. It also can bring back your Gearfried or your Charles and simplified game states, and then immediately triggers Charles pop, immediately has Gearfried set up to negate something. On for our brick equip spells, we play 1 Divine Sword. Again, combo piece. You need to banish things to bring them back with DDR. 1 Middle Sliver. It's a bit of a win-more brick, so you can cut it if you don't like it, but it's really painful for Sky Strikers. It's really painful for VW. It's really painful for Invoked even, because they have to target their Alistair to bring it back. And then 1 Living Fossil also works as an extender, but you have to fill your grave first. All right. Moving on to our our tech choices. Well, sorry.
No worries.
We have 3 Triple Tactics talent. This is another card that just really works well with Neospace Connector, because Connector forces an interruption. You can then follow up with talents, and talents can rip something if you already have an extender, or it can draw you into your extender. It even works as a pseudo going second card, so we do like it at 3. Moving on to 2-ofs, we play 2 Droplets. Deck space is really tight. We're actually out of 48 cards just to get that engine in. If you want, I would cut the Phantom Knights, and you can get yourself down into 41 pretty easily. But 2 Droplets, kind of mandatory this format. Between Baron and DP, you have to be able to stop the Scythe. All right, we then play 2 Lancia. Don't like the VW matchup. Don't like the Phantom Knight matchup. It's pretty useful in both. And then 2 Droll. I'm going back and forth on this. It might be better for this to be a Ghost Ogre, but you can resolve it before they get their the Phoenix Omni, or not Phoenix, Griffin Rider Omni Gate out. So it's then you tell your opponent, okay, you got your Omni Negate, play without searching for the rest of the turn. And that wraps it up for the main deck. Moving on to our side. We really struggle for back row removal, so we play 3 evenly matched. It also just helps break boards in tough situations. I've also learned my lesson. Cards stay on the field until the end of the chain, so no, it does not work with Droplets like I thought it did.
It's okay, it'd be like that.
We then play 3 copies of Nibiru. It's still a good option. Not every deck's going to be able to keep that Omni Gate active to protect their combo line, so it's useful. We play 3 Impermanents. We keep it in the side just because it really doesn't function well with Shade. You can screw yourself pretty easily that way. So, but if you start siding out Phantom Knight cards to have more space, then this is a great thing to put in. Then moving on to a 2-ofs, we play 2 Twin Twisters, just more back row removal. It's also another discard card, so helps us if we see Bolt Wing in the starting hand, and no access to discard beside that. And then we have 3 one-ofs. I know, kind of gross. This is droplets, just to get it to 3 in the main, depending on the matchup. 1 droll, get 3 in the main, depending on the matchup. 1 Lancia, 3 in the main, depending on the matchup. Then finally, this one's a personal choice. I've not seen it anywhere else, but 1 Noble Arms Caliburn. It's an old Noble Knight equipped spell. It's really good in time. You can activate it to gain 500 life points. It also re-equips to a Noble Knight on when it's sent to grave, or destroyed and sent to grave, and because equipped spells are destroyed by game mechanic when they monster or equipped to is sent to grave, you can chain block Isolde's first effect if you put it down first, which is actually kind of useful right now with Ghost Ogre running around. But yeah, you play a really long combo, so being able to gain 500 life points and just play your combo through the clock and not have to worry about rushing to get a chance to go on turn 3 is really nice.
Gotcha.
Moving on to our extra. We are on 1 copy of Isolde, 2 Tales of the Noble Knights. Amazing card. My friends keep saying it should be banned because it does too much, but you get a search that you can't use up for the turn, and except for as discard fodder or maybe infusion materials. I've seen some decks do some stuff with that, but its best resort is searching Gearfried unless you already have it. Just remember, once you've searched it, you can't use some cards with that name anymore, so don't search something you need for your combo line. Also sends our Phoenix Blade, and remember that sending equipped spells is cost, so even if you eat an imperm on the first effect, you can still send as cost, get that Phoenix Blade engrave. Moving on. Alkan Fibrax. You're sick of seeing this, you're seeing it everywhere, but we've been using it for a long while, we need it. Get your Despot 001 out so you can combo with Auroradon. Auroradon gets our things out. The other way you can use it, if you saw Cult Wing, once you have Despot and the tokens, you can make a Balmung here, and then use Auroradon effect tribute the other token, pop the Balmung, special out the Cult Wing you discarded earlier. Then we play 2 Power Tool Dragons. Not once per turn, add an equipped spell. We play DDR at 3 for a reason. We play Durandal at 3 for a reason. We probably play Durandal at 3 either way, but you basically show your opponent 3 of each and say, I'm getting the one I want. If you already have access to Renaud, you can always use the second power tool to search, try for a second DDR, and then you rip for 3 instead of just 2. We then play Dracosac. We use Cult Wing and a power tool to get a Dracosac, and then we spam more tokens. We then play Balmung. We talked about popping him. He's not once per turn, so you pop him twice during your combo to make your full board, both times bringing back Cult Wing. 1 Shooting Riser. We send the red layer, get it to level 2 to help build our Roland. Roland? Search thing end phase. He's what makes Charles an interruption on your opponent's turn. He also sends an equipped spell to grave. So remember, you can get a DDR in grave if you're able to make him, or a Metal Silver in grave and if you're able to make him, but not able to actually play through. Remember that Alkan Fibrax can also synchro summon him during your opponent's turn if you get stopped there. So you can then use this to put an equipped spell in grave and add a Gearfried to hand as your turn 3 plan. 1 Charles, we use him as a combo piece, but he's also our boss monster. He pops our Balmung at 1 point. He also equips cards during the end phase. You use his effect to equip the Metal Silver to lock your opponent out of turn. And equip the Metal Silver from grave and an olive from deck to lock your opponent out of targeting monsters in grave, field, or either side. We play 2 Herald of the Arclight. Some people cut or run a Boral Savage instead of the second Herald, but I like the option of being able to make a Herald early and then still have the option to make it later. It's an Omni-Negate, and sometimes you can just survive an extra turn, even if you didn't get a full combo off and rips, by forcing them to waste their battle phase to out the Arclight, because there's a lot of decks that need to send monsters to the grave from deck or hand. We play 1 side Flame Lord Omega, our Rip King. You're going to cycle him back many times. Your opponent's going to hate him. Remember in the matchup against Dogmatica that you can send him to grave to force the wind out on the field. Because he can shuffle back one thing, and then when they force the wind out, you can then shuffle back the other engine piece that you, or from the extra deck that you sent. We play one unicorn. It helps us clear the field, it helps us break boards, force interruptions, but most importantly, if we have too many things on board before we go into combo line, we can clean it up by going in, linking into unicorn. So we're just left with the one tuner and unicorn. And then we play one Appaloosa. This is only if you're running the Phantom Knights. I would not run it if you don't plan on running the Phantom Knights. If you don't, access Code Talker, so you can have a really strong turn 2 plan. But that's it.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we sign off? Or?
I hope the deck survives. I have no idea what I'm going to do if Auroradon gets banned because everyone's using it.
All right. Well, sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.